I think history has shown that whether it be a country or even an individual or organization, when they spend more money than they acquire for a long period of time, it's a problem. It faces a decline in authority and in power. This is why gold is being accumulated the way that it is. It's not to get wealthy. It is because it is wealth. And I think a lot's going to really, really start to get ugly over the next year. You have obviously the election, but one thing people aren't talking about is that the usage of the Federal Reserve's emergency funding facility for banks just hit another record high of 114 billion. We saw another 3.3 billion of outflows just last week coming out of the banks, and it pulled the deposits down to their lowest level since September after rising for 6 straight months. Not a good thing. The money market funds have seen $1 trillion go into them. Why leave your money in a regional bank when you can get 5% essentially risk-free in a money market account that's in the overnight reverse repo market with the Fed? But look, bottom line is that this is, to me, where all of the problems are going to start here domestically, is in the banking sector, because in March of 2024, that money in that emergency funding program has to all be paid back. And so you put into the mix all of these things converging at once. You have the banks massively accumulating commodities and selling treasuries. You have deals being struck all around the globe usurping the dollar. You have people in this country living paycheck to paycheck, 65% of the country, 45% paycheck to paycheck, earning over 6 figures. Record student debt of $1.6 trillion, which is the largest asset of the U.S. government. Google, what is the U.S. government's largest asset on the 2022 balance sheet? Student debt. We have 17 trillion in household debt, record. 1 trillion in credit card debt, record. Student debt, record. Lowest levels of savings. And I think it's never, ever, ever been more important to remove counterparty risk, to own precious metals, not to get wealthy, but because they are wealth outside the system. And outside the system, meaning it's not controlled by anyone else but you. People who are saying, well, why aren't the prices of metals taking off? Now, they are today. I mean, last time I looked, we have gold up $28 to $2,041, and silver up 35 cents to over $25 an ounce. But what you have is so much manipulation on the COMEX market. To give you an idea of what I mean by that, right now, the open interest, meaning the number of contracts that are written against the bars of silver in the vault, is 250% greater than the bars backing it. In other words, there's 250% more contracts than bars in the entire system. But get this, the open interest in the registered category, those are the bars that are available to be delivered against the contracts that were written, is 1,794% rehypothecated. In other words, there's 18 times more paper than there are bars that stand behind it. Little by little by little by little, then all at once, you are seeing the biggest money in the world drain all of the exchanges across the globe. Record accumulation of gold, record accumulation of silver, record drawdown on the exchanges and the ETFs. At the same time, the banks are massively undercapitalized and over leveraged, little by 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 little. I mean, you can keep going on. At what point does the whole thing break? And it's coming. And if you don't see that, you're going to get rolled by history. Instead of rolling with the changes, you will be rolled by the changes. And I've never been more confident that we're getting to that point. You cannot hide from 2024. This election might be the most important this country's ever had. You cannot hide from it. Big changes are coming. And I would say to you, with the banks, with the petrodollar, with the political landscape, with the economic landscape, and just about everything else, it's all coming to a head. And I think 2024 is the year the central banks, which are the most well-funded and well-informed traders on the planet, have bought more over the last 18 months. The smartest guys in the room are misdirecting the public through rhetoric and price, gives them free rein to gobble up as much as they can the fact that the dollar is accepted globally through OPEC for oil, that makes the dollar the world reserve currency. So when the United Arab Emirates says we're not doing it anymore, this is not just some small deal. When China is signing huge deals with countries around the world, including Saudi Arabia, who has joined the BRICS, the Belt Road, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the BRICS New Development Bank, et cetera, et cetera. These are not small deals. These are big moves on the chessboard. China on November 20th, just last week, China and Saudi Arabia, they signed a currency swap agreement worth about $7 or $8 billion. And that, what people don't understand about currency swaps, if you don't know what it means, it's countries that are interested in bilateral agreements, number one, right? So I want to work with Peter, Peter want to work with the Indian, so we do a swap agreement. It basically means that trades can be conducted in local currencies instead of defaulting to the US dollar. And you end up getting a more favorable rate, loan rate, if you're trading, between yuan and rial, Saudi Arabia and China. And so with the interest rates so high in the US right now, it's very advantageous for these countries to say, okay, fine, I'll take yuan for your oil, and you'll take we'll take rial for whatever we sell you for, our goods that we produce, whatever, instead of taking US dollars. All of this stuff used to settle on dollars, all of it, little by little by little. People talk about inflation and they only think of printing money. That is the classical definition of inflation, by the way, an increase in the money supply. So what happens when the rest of the world says we're not taking dollars anymore? So I'll skip some of the stuff, I'll come back to it, but let me just get you the big news. And the big news, this is right out of MSN today. The United Arab Emirates officially stops using dollar for oil trades. Well, I've been saying this for 4 years. Here it comes. And this is the all at once moment. Now, we're not there yet, but this is a big little by little jump. They're eyeing potential oil and gas deals with 15 countries, including China, Russia, and Egypt, all of whom are coincidentally BRICS members, all of whom advocate for the continued de-dollarization. The United Arab Emirates is not just following a de-dollarization trend. They have some big cojones, and they are setting a big trend. It's one thing for Saudi Arabia to join the BRICS, to join the Belt Road Initiative with every other OPEC country on the Belt Road, all of them. It's another thing for them to join the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the largest regional, financial, and military organization on the planet. It's another thing for them to tell everyone in Davos that we're open to taking other currencies for oil.